Well, the Eagles added some more depth to the practice squad, and it looks like we may have a frontrunner for punter. Nolan Smith is back at practice. Plus, Sidney Brown's starting? What did Reed Blankenship say to suggest it could be the rookie next to him? But first, let's run it. Alright, so the Eagles have officially filled out their 16-man practice squad after signing defensive tackle Thomas Booker, who's a former 5th-round selection by the Houston Texans in the 2022 NFL Draft, registering 15 tackles, 1 quarterback hit, a tackle for loss, and half a sack last season. Obviously not a candidate to make a significant impact, especially with the Texans' Battle Red blog sharing Booker clearly lacks pass rush skills and tenacity at the line of scrimmage when defending the run, and was outplayed by undrafted rookie Kurt Heinisch last season. At this point, you might be wondering, why in the world is Howie adding another defensive tackle since we've already got 7 on the 53-man roster? Well, as Bleeding Green Nation pointed out, it's most likely the athleticism the Birds see in Booker, who ranked as the 7th most athletic interior lineman in his class. Plus, it's not exactly a secret that Philly values the trenches. One of the other signings of the practice squad was Tiawan Mullen, and I actually don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but a UDFA from Indiana who spent the summer with the Chargers while primarily playing in the slot, with Philly Nation describing him as one swaggy son of a gun who likes to hit and is sticky in coverage. I like a little swag, you like a little swag, and Howie likes a little swag, which once again probably isn't a good thing for the Chargers, but it's good news for Philly, as the Bolts beat admitted if there's one team in the league that deserves a crown for evaluating talent and always being ahead of the curve, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. It's similar to the Los Angeles Dodgers in baseball. If the Dodgers see something in a pitcher and bring them in, it's typically a great sign for said player, particularly a defensive player, then that's probably a great sign for them. Heck, just look at the example of a guy like a Kaiser White last season. Again, this isn't anything new or earth-shattering, and does this mean that Mullen will be a big contributor this season? No, hopefully not, but I love the potential. And as Brandon Lee Gouton noted, unlike any other depth options outside of Mario Goodrich, Mullen has experience playing nickel, which is great because there's really no substitute for experience. Speaking of that experience, a familiar name in LaRaven Clark is back with the Eagles, who, to jog your memory, was signed off their practice squad in September last season, before making 2 starts with the Tennessee Titans, although the 30-year-old wouldn't exactly calm the nerves if pressed into action. However, it's obvious the Birds felt he's a better break the glass in case of emergency than Dennis Kelly. Overall, I think these signings are alright, and like I said, hopefully they're not pressed into action immediately, but perhaps the young guys can eventually make an impact. Plus, I think it's important to go with the when in doubt, trust Howie approach. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. Despite some other signings not making a quick impact, GM Howie Roseman thinks new tight end Albert Akuwabunam, still probably butchered that, didn't I, may have a bigger role after trading a 6th-round pick for Alberto and a 7th-round pick, citing the big man's unique ability to uncover, saying he has the lower body flexibility, he has the speed, he has the length, and he has all the tools in his body. Don't. Stop it.
That's what she said.
Okay, well, anyway, for those of you who had been excited about Tyree Jackson's potential, I talked about Big Al in a previous video, but I agree with Victor Williams, who said Alberto is Tyree Jackson on crack. Jalen Hurts is also a big fan, as he met with Alberto when he arrived in Philly, immediately recalling plays the freak tight end made in college when Alabama played Missouri in 2018. It seems like just about everyone's a fan. Alright, apparently not the equipment manager, after Albert requested to have Junior added to his jersey, to which the equipment manager was like, dude, really? By the way, you can relax because AO changed to the number 85. We also had a couple other number changes, with Keely Ringo moving to 22 and Tanner McKee swapping out for number 19.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ringo to 22, but McKee should have stayed at 10. Yet the worst part to all this is what it means for the whole punter situation, since Aaron Siposs, who's on the practice squad, is now the only number 10 on the roster, basically signifying that he'll probably make the team. Come on, why else make McKee change to 19? Unless possibly, hopefully, McKee just wanted to go one up from his number in college of the number 18. Yeah, not very likely. Although it was reported that Philly worked out 3 punters with NFL experience in Blake Gillikin, Pat O'Donnell, and Colby Wadman. Surely everyone remembers Gillikin as the former Penn State punter. It's also worth mentioning that the Steelers waived Braden Mann, so he could be another option as well. Unfortunately though, the Eagles remain 100% adamant that no Matt Araiza workout's gonna happen. So in that case, gimme Gillikin. Or honestly, like this fan said, any one of these guys over Siposs. We've talked about it a little bit, but given the names I've mentioned, who's your favorite to see with the Eagles? Thankfully, Nolan Smith is back at practice after missing several days and even a preseason game due to the shoulder injury he suffered versus the Browns, but was seen with his helmet and went through special teams drills as well as positional drills. And all I can say is thank goodness, because we know the potential this dude has, plus it's no secret that this channel is kinda a Nolan Smith stan account, which is why if I was in Philly today, I'd be at the shop right on Drexel Hill, since Superman's gonna be there from 2 to 3 p.m. So please, somebody report back on how the shoulder's looking. Hopefully he's there on opening day, which is crazy to say this, but it's just over 1 week away. While we're talking about rookies, I think it's safe to say Sidney Brown is trending in the right direction, with the Ghost, Ed Reed, Blankenship being really impressed by Brown.
He's a hard worker, really hard worker. Very smart. It's sometimes hard to tell if he's a rookie or not, and that's a good thing. Like I said, he flies around the field, and obviously it's better to slow guys down than to speed them up. So he's doing great, and he's going to be a great player for us.
All right, sure. Blankenship didn't call Brown a starter, but when he says things like hard to tell he's a rookie and flying around, we're definitely trending in the right direction. And also, as Jimmy Kimsky of the Philly Voice observed, Brown is the most gifted of the Eagles safeties athletically. When he decides to attack a ball carrier or a spot in a secondary where he thinks a pass is heading, he gets there fast and with bad intentions. It's not hard to see that he has fan favorite potential, which John McMullen would also agree, saying his burst, range, and athleticism is just better than every other safety on the team. He can cover more ground than their other safeties, and he's just way more gifted. Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and I think what we've all seen from when the Rook's on the field is that it looks like everyone else is moving in slow motion, which is not a huge surprise for a guy that was the #1 rated defensive back in terms of athleticism score at the Combine. And with Brown's significant growth going from his confession of the "I don't understand what you're talking about" state to now being comfortable and saying it's a lot of fun speaks volumes. Of course, maybe Sidney doesn't start on day one, but I don't think Justin Evans is a long-term solution, and to me, it feels like the Birds are going to use Edmunds in kind of like a hybrid linebacker role from time to time, so I think it's only a matter of time, and it wouldn't shock me at all if Brown's the starter against the Patriots. But what do y'all think? Honestly, the somewhat shocking news was when Kayvon Wallace was waived, especially since we'd heard reports that Wallace had been significantly showing improvement and was quite possibly the leading candidate, leaving the 26-year-old to dream about potentially getting the starting job.
Sometimes dreams can turn into nightmares, Lou.
What's your problem?
Sorry, I do wish Kayvon the best, but unfortunately for him, he rejoined the dumpster fire, lying pew-pew-pews, led by the feckless, "I've got a competitive advantage, except I really don't," because have you seen this team? Jonathan Gannon. I'm not bitter about anything, but this feels like the perfect time to bring up a Jalen Reagor update. After the Minnesota Vikings were clearly duped, showing some practice highlights, thinking, man, this dude's finally gonna be insane, before eventually figuring out and cutting Reagor, which does have a little significance, by the way. As Thomas Peterson shared, the Eagles will now receive a 5th, not a 4th, in next year's draft because Reagor won't reach the statistical conditions. I wonder who saw that coming.
How do you tell somebody that you care about deeply, "I told you so"?
I mean, this thing never ends, with Adam Schefter reporting that Reagor signed with the Patriots practice squad and is likely a candidate to be promoted next week for the Eagles opener, setting up one of my favorite comments, a terrifying 5-yard punt return revenge game. I'm not entirely sure what Belichick is thinking there, but whatever. Although despite that flawed logic, it's really Sports Illustrated's 10 NFL games to watch that takes the cake, saying Deebo Samuel said, correctly by the way, that the 49ers would have defeated the Eagles in the NFC title game if Brock Purdy hadn't been injured. Whoever is playing QB for the 49ers in Week 13 should at least be capable of throwing a forward pass. Huh? I'm sorry, what? We've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, which is exactly how All-Pro Hassan Reddick feels circling the game versus the 49ers on the calendar, saying, that San Fran game, man, a lot of chirping, a lot of back and forth over social media about what woulda, coulda, shoulda happened. I'm looking forward to that one. No game more than that. Now, Reddick also mentioned the KC game as an opportunity for some revenge, but I think I'd have to agree. The 49ers one game is pretty high up there. Curious which one you're most excited about, though. Also want to mention we're going to have an exciting guest on next Wednesday's live show at 7 o'clock Eastern, so looking forward to that, as well as doing another giveaway during the Eagles-Patriots game, with a couple other awesome stuff coming out soon for subscribers, so stay tuned. This has been the Philly Special.